Good afternoon and welcome to Transition Talks Tuesdays. We're in the fall 2025 edition. Transition Talks Tuesdays is a part of the Youth Health Transition Initiative. My name's Tim Markle and I just happen to direct that initiative. Today, very excited to have some fantastic people who do great work in the state of Wisconsin, and they're connected then to people who do great work in other areas, other states that do work just like them. And so the Wisconsin's Parent Training and Info, they are our Wisconsin's Parent Training and Information Center. They provide Wisconsin families with children with disabilities with personalized support to navigate their transition to adulthood, offering one-on-one phone assistance on special education and transition IEP related questions, along with a wide variety of self-advocacy resources, both online and in print, to help empower youth to participate in their own decisions, understand guardianship, explore supported decision-making options. Their goal is to ensure that families and students feel prepared, confident, and actively engaged in transition IEP meetings and post-secondary transition plans. So if y'all have been a part of any of the transition talks in the past, you know why, according to that description, why I like Wisconsin Facets so much. They are speaking my language. They are right up my alleys. They are supporting the families that we support. And so I am excited to welcome in a person that I know for years. Nelsinia Ramos is going to talk to us more about Wisconsin Facets and how they support students with disabilities as they are becoming adults. Nelsinia, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you to you, Tim. And I'm super excited and I love the name Transition Talks Tuesdays and TTT. I call that CC. So perhaps many of you have heard about facets, and I was wondering how, everybody, not all the time, for the most part, knows exactly what we do or all the programs that we have. So I decided to do a little overview of our agency and then going specifically with some of the transition resources that we have, but also what we can offer to families in terms of supporting youth with disabilities to become their own self-advocates. So that said, what I want to do is that I'm going to use a PowerPoint. Just 1 second.
And as Nelsinia sets that up, I will just remind you to please feel free to put any questions that come up during the presentation into the chat. I will be watching the chat. As well as at the end, please feel free to raise your hand and we will call on you. That's starting to look really good, Nelsinia. It's starting to come through. Go ahead and spotlight you. So we have right now the sort of the view of when you are putting together the slideshow.
Sure. And I'm trying to see. I love this when okay, here. I'm going to hide for a sec so you guys can see the whole presentation. All right. Okay, so now we have the slideshow here. So I just want to mention that Wisconsin Facets has been became an agency since 1995, and we support people with disabilities, but also like the parents, especially in education issues or topics. And I'm gonna go over a little bit of what we have accomplished in the past years. So we serve the state of Wisconsin. We are a nonprofit organization. And again, we support children with disabilities and their families, specifically the parents. But we have to acknowledge that as we started with the grant that we have, which is what Tim mentioned, the Parent Training Information Center, there was a moment in which the Parent Center Network, which is available throughout the United States. What I want to mention right away is that there is Wisconsin Facets is a parent center. So we have the funding through the Department of Education to provide services to families, but there got to be one parent center at least in each state in the United States. So at least one parent center, and it goes because of the population. So in Wisconsin, we have two, which is FACETS. We cover statewide, and we are lucky to have a smaller project. Not every state will have one, which focus more in the Milwaukee area, and that is ALAS, if you ever heard about them. So our services will go from 0, parents who have children with disabilities, from 0 to 26. And the 26 is because some of the states, interestingly, not in Wisconsin transition, at least for the school portion of IDEA, I'm not going to go a lot on the law, but I'm going to tell you what we do. But in our state, that ends, the school for transition ends at age of 22, when the 22 birthday kicks in. So 21. Some states, their transition age is 26, and that's the reason that that number is there. We were funded by some parents that have children with disabilities, and that actually fought for having funding to help parents to advocate better and to participate better in their children IEPs. We are a small, even though we do great things, and I think it's important for people to know that we're only 12 staff, and actually working with parents is a project of 8 staff in total, and that counts the administrative staff. So we all are part-time, and we have some limitation with the funding, and overall funding for the full agency is $1.2 million. So this is what makes us different and unique, because you notice the limitations that we have perhaps with the funding. So we have to provide services that help parents to learn how to do this on their own, since we are not enough for the whole state of Wisconsin. And so we certainly believe in empowering individuals to make their choices that best meets the needs of disability. So we teach the families to fish instead of providing the fish. It will be nice that we can do things for everyone, but once again, we know this is our expertise, that we can take that one-on-one time for families to explain to them how they can participate better at IEPs. We also respect and recognize the different options and desires that parents have for their children with disabilities. That means that we don't tell parents what you need to do. We provide the options based on what we have available, what the law provides to children with disabilities, what the IEP, and then allow the parent to do their own decisions. Again, we know, and even if it is perhaps against our own values and what we have, because most of us have a direct connection with children with disabilities, or have children, that are in school or are done with school, but we also recognize the beauty of special education and how it can be different from each child. Although we certainly like, or are for justice and wants their children to get the most as possible. So that's why we encourage the resolution of conflicts too. Which means that, unfortunately, that's the reason that we have parent centers there. A lot of disagreements between schools and special education, and our most desire is that parents learn how to solve those with schools. So we provide technical assistance for that too. But certainly we understand that children are perhaps going to have IEPs throughout their school years, and therefore is the importance of resolving or trying to have collaborations with schools. And that's what we do. We are not lawyers, although we provide information about IDEA or the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. But certainly what we have on the phone, it's not something that will replace any legal advice. And we are very careful on not stepping into those grounds. That's, one of our things that makes us really special. Like, we really know when something cross over. Like, we don't tell, like, the law says this is what it means, their school is supposed to be doing this, things like that. Those type of statements is not us, because we are not lawyers and we're not interpreting the laws. This is very serious of what we do and what the best the best services that we want to provide to our families. So I'm not going to go on our staff, but I want to chat about the 3 core services that FACETS provide. One is, our name mentioned, is the training. So in terms of training, we offer webinars. For the most part, they are online, and this is the best. We are not able to go, to all towns or counties in the state. So we provide a very diverse but very powerful list of trainings. Again, most are webinars that people can take live. If you take those live, you get the chance to ask questions live, right? For the most part, I will have to say. But this is also available to parents. We do our training list once a year. So we are working already for the 2026 list. And actually one is showing here, and I apologize, is the 2024, but it's just like the example that perhaps you have seen that document when we have the resource fairs. The most important is that we acknowledge that we're going back into some in-person, and our trainer and Silky have reserved certain spots for parent groups, because there's some parent groups that are around the state, and actually we like that. We need your help. And so we get some of the requests in which we are able to sneak in or, try to provide some of these specialized trainings to the parent, especially when they meet in groups. We also have some professional development when some of the agencies, if you work for an agency and want to know what we do or want to have some training, but certainly that is if we are available and is in advance. But we want, again, parents to let us know if they are having a specific group or specific questions. We are working a little bit. We have spots throughout the year that you could, don't be shy and requesting. So we want to know where you're at. Many of these trainings are presented by external because it's focused on special education. At least 12 or 10 to 12, for the most part, are presented by the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. The topics are chosen specifically, according to the topics in the calls that we are receiving. A lot of the discipline and behavioral, throughout the whole state. But we also have some really good trainings related to transition. When we mention about transition for special education, transition starts at the age of 14 in the state of Wisconsin, and that goes through post-secondary education. So it starts there early, and that's why we need to know, what's available and how the IEP changes at the age of 14. I was mentioning before that we acknowledge that the parents need to have this power, but then at a certain point, the network change and they start how can we add students to this? Because students with disabilities or with IEPs can learn how to do this, and they can learn how to start advocating for themselves, even in their own IEPs. And in Wisconsin, for example, at the age of 14, again, students are going to be invited if that's reasonable, but all students are required to be invited to their own IEP meeting. So don't wait until you're 14 to prepare your children to do that. I will give you some tips about how to get that done. If you need any language assistance, request that when you give us a call, or if you send us an email. In some of these trainings, we're adding even more, have simultaneous Spanish interpretation. For other languages, we use a language access line that we have expertise on how to use those. We talk to the parent, through the person who's interpreting, but we are, working with them specifically and try to get the most out of it, because we recognize that special education and IEPs is a very special lexic or language that not everybody has the ability to translate. So that is the training. Then we have the help desk, which is like virtual or phone assistance that we have specifically throughout the state. Our lines are available for parents. It could be professionals. Most of the times we have parents to give us a call and to ask questions about the concerns they have about their IEP, how to participate better in the IEP. And we assess that and we provide resources for them. But the most important, we do a lot of coaching on the phone. It's not that we just give the information according to what the parent needs and what the parent wants. We can provide very specific and detailed about things that need to happen in the IEP. We acknowledge that it's a service. That's why we want also people to take IEP training, because IEPs don't change. And technically it's a process. There's a series of documents that are stapled together. So we have that available, but we also have somebody on the phone. A few times we do some case, like IEP revisions. We provide that, in which sometimes we may ask permission to look at your record, IEP record, just to figure, some of the things that you are concerned and help you out. But you also can tell us over the phone, and we should be able to do that. So it's very one-on-one service that we provide, and is on the phone. We want you, and we can help you to do this. And if we have to have serve you through a couple calls too, that will be also what we have available. So besides that individual phone support, we also have some very limited in-person support or IEP attendance. But that is based on when we really need it, because we only have, again, a person that does 20 hours a week for doing that. And actually the way that we have been doing is participating virtually. That allows us to serve more cases throughout the state. But it's not only showing up to your IEP meeting or your son's or daughter's IEP, transition IEP meeting. We will again have a plan with you before that IEP meeting so you can participate, and we will help you, and we will help you to facilitate the conversation. And if we are there, it's because there is going to be a hard topic or something that is confusing, or for the most part, schools like our participation because we help to, increase the trust between the parent and the IEP team, and obviously a student too. We have some leadership development. We allow parents, besides this information one-on-one about you and your children writing or students in the IEPs, we want also parents. There are not many of us in the state, and we keep aging, and Tim is one of them. That's why we know all over in the network, our agencies share referrals, but we acknowledge that we need more parent representation in certain groups, whether it is statewide or locally or even regionally within our state. And we have a training that is called Serving on Groups, because we acknowledge that parents sometimes feel frightening about participating in groups that are a little more formal. So it's about learning what type of groups you can participate from all kinds, and also what you need to know to be more effective. So we need you, and if this is something that is in your heart, please check this out, because we believe in that. We believe in a network. We keep increasing the network, and we need you. And we need youth to also to participate in some of those county transition advisory boards as well. So dissemination, I want to say that we have a Facebook page. That's the main one that we use to disseminate some of the nuggets, special education nuggets about rights in different topics, but also to promote our training. And our website, of course. So that said, I'm going to end this PowerPoint. Well, here's some of our numbers that we have. We have over 2,000 calls a year, and those are just the calls that we serve, but is it could be half an hour, it could be 40 minutes. We really, again, work with the parent. That's what we do. We just don't check in and do it for them, because we acknowledge that as things continue to shrink in terms of funding or, resources that we have, that's what we want parents, again, to know and to do this on their own. Okay. So I'm gonna end this show. That's it.
And as Nelsinia switches over PowerPoints, I just want to reiterate that that FACETS is such a vital part of the system of care in Wisconsin. I know that all 5 of the children's resource centers utilize FACETS to connect parents when questions come up in the education system and maybe barriers or challenges come up, as they really do know and understand IEPs and the system. So I greatly encourage check out the training resources, check out the archives. There's some really good stuff that are out there.
Yeah, so trying to find out. Do you see our website here? Or the PTP?
We see the Spanish language version of the post-secondary transition plan,
Okay.
of participating in the post-secondary transition plan.
Sure. This is what I love with the Zoom. It looks easy, and then, okay, let's do this, okay?
We'll give it another try here.
Yes. So here. I thought that is easy if you can see our website now, right?
Correct. You now have the website. Go forward, Nelsinia.
Sure. So I wanted to show you what's available to you, because we have so much information and in many different formats that even I'm going to show different websites too. What I wanted to know is that you don't need to learn everything that is in here. I want you to have a bigger idea of everything, or the type of information that we have available again. If a parent calls, we are able to even check very specifically to that issue, or even a parent, right? In terms of all the resources that we have for youth, leadership, and transition. Those are 2 things, but the 2 of them, and no matter what, it certainly is focused on the students that have IEPs that are starting at the age of 14. So we have some IEP modules, which is training that is archived. We have 7 of them, but we have also the training calendar is here, and you can directly register from our website. But more on that, we have this publication to you. You can download it for free on our website, or if you are a parent, for example, you can give us a call and we will send you a copy directly to your home. We have them available for a price for schools or other providers that want to share this publication with their consumers. And the only reason that we charge a little bit is because of the cost of the printing. So we're trying to recover some so we can add more and we can have them on community resource fairs available. So that is, we have a IEP checklist. So it's a publication that allow us to prepare parents about before the IEP meeting, during the IEP meeting, and then after the IEP meeting. And we have one for transition IEP meetings. So it's called the transition IEP checklist. It's to help you, again, to prepare and to know what difference is with the IEP. IEPs, once they turn 18, there is an additional section that is called the Postsecondary Transition Program. It's not only the app, it's technically the focus on how we are going to prepare your child for exiting school. So the sooner that you get involved in this, if you never have, perhaps many parents have IEPs and their children are 15, 16, but did not know that this is a separate section that they didn't have to deal before they were 14. So that's available to you. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what it's available in there. Then we have a brochure that it's about where to begin. Even though I worked for FACETS for a long, long time, I'm a parent, and I started here in 2003. I always heard and I learned about what the law says about IEPs, transition, and the transition plans from that point. But it wasn't until I went through it that I certainly understood even more of the challenges and tried to get more of my expertise on it. So if you need, we have information. This is a brochure that we have available. This we can provide for more quantities that at least allows parents to understand like where to start, what is exactly what it changed, and now what is going to be the focus. So it's about, again, what is transition? We hear the word transition a lot, and it could be from birth to three, and special education could be a transition from one school to the other, but it's mostly like from early childhood or birth to three, let's say early intervention services to school, if your child was involved into that, but now is transition to the adulthood, which the IEP can tremendously help with that. I want to know that because we are a network of parent centers, we have access to the Center for Parent Information and Resources. And so these are like a nationwide network that we are proud to be part of, and that means that we even have more access to other webinars and trainings. And there is a network for parent centers that is specifically for youth in transition, and it's called RAISE. So there's so many webinars that we have specifically, and many are given from self-advocates to self-advocates, and many is very focused on youth leadership. We believe in youth leadership, and in case, if by any chance it's going through your mind, oh, my child is too disabled. I heard this like last week. Oh, you're putting a lot of expectations. My child's not going to be able to do that. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's like we have to think outside the box on this. There, in different ways, or depending on what the child is doing, there got to be ways, and this already figured it out. And the more that you prepare on it, the more options you will have for your child. And whether is that employment, or perhaps the child's not going to be able to do that, but perhaps some post-secondary education, perhaps some community services after school. And no matter what, it's about choices and self-determination. So I wanted you to know that we have all this, but it's so big that it's easier if you kind of give us a call or check our website to see, what else could be available. I forgot to mention regarding our website. And this is going to be a handout that Tim is going to be sending to you. We have a list. And Tim, I'm assuming that you can see the IEP modules, the website, right? Like the web page.
Correct.
Okay. So you can see this. So we have a list of training on demand. So we have available to you training recordings. While some of the training we require for people to register for that, and the only reason is because our funding, we have to report how many people are taking the training and some of the demographics. So we appreciate when you take the time to do that. Please keep doing it. But we also have training on demand that no longer requires, because we have been doing this for 25 years plus. And we selected the best training to be available, no matter what, to parents and professionals. And you don't need to register, is direct access to them. why I was saying that will be available to you, and I apologize for the scrolling. If you get dizzy, close your eyes for a second. Okay, now you can open them again. Is that we have a series of a big list of webinars and transition. Specifically, I can tell you there's a list of 17 webinars here that you can click on it and start watching, and you can fast forward if that's what you need. And all this is available to you. Some of the examples, and I know because it's transition, so this will touch a little bit into the special education. But I'm going to
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Bonnie Vandermeulen, training.
Oh, this is interesting. I don't know why I start playing at that, but we have some of the topics is a future that includes employment, setting a vision for job success. Then we have career and technical education, what families of children with disabilities need to know. Post-secondary transition plan, which is that section of the IEP that I was telling you about. Think big, building meaningful lives across the lifespan. We really have some really, really good training in here that people, they had it done and gets it. So please check it out. Incorporating healthcare transition with your post-secondary transition plan, legal options for decision-making at age of 18, how DVR in schools work together for youth, and it goes on and on. But we also have, and this is a little of a smaller of a list, but it's 10 training that we have on youth self-advocacy. In some of these training include self-advocates, including Tim's son, Hunter. Yeah, he did. You guys did one for us, and it's amazing. But that's when we love, like, people that really went through it and understand the challenges, but also that love to share information and make it a little easier for the parents. So we also have in this list, it says self-advocacy. Failure is an option. That's what Tim presented for us. Self-advocacy, understanding guardianship, and we have a college panel as well. So I know these are videos available to you. Again, for the most part, they are about 45 minutes. Sometimes some of the calls are recorded in there, but we have them available to you. And obviously some more special topics, but that's what I wanted to mention about our website. That you have this is in our best interest for you to know. And if you ever are done and have questions, just give us a call and then we work with you. But the IEP series are important. It has a section on transition too, because it's understanding the different sections of the IEP. We have them live right now if you want to do that. All right. So that's a lot from me in terms of resources. I want to go really quick or share with you when I have my camera for the moment, that we have, remember that transition, the IEP checklist and transition that I was showing to you. We have a PowerPoint presentation on that in which we provide a list for the parents what to do and for the youth what to do. So this is something that youth can join, but also is acknowledging, obviously, and I'm number one for parents. Like, we used to speak for our children and we want our children to speak up, right? So is raising the standard and let students know how they can participate. Again, I heard many times, oh, my child doesn't participate. Sometimes they're in the IEP, not really. But there are many different ways, and you don't have to wait until the children are 14 or students are 14 to participate. It could be IEPs for the, what you mentioned, there's a section for the parents to share input. And many times parents don't know it's already available, but they're being asked to provide that input in advance, which is great. We can help parents to prepare on that, and that's why we have this checklist on it. But students, even if they're young, there are different ways in which they can add their own input, which is asking students, like, what are your favorite subjects? What do you like them the most? What would you like to have, in school, that's something that happens better, but also in a different way, no matter how, trying to see and to check what your son or daughter benefits more from the IEP or at school, what needs to improve, and sometimes even photos. Sometimes if they have the ability to complete who they are, what age, a photo of them, what are their abilities, what they like the most. This is something that when it's shared in the IEP, even if it is on a page, it's not that somebody has to be verbally sharing that, it's going to make the meeting focus on the child. And that's what, again, the child, even sometimes without knowing, can share that information without participating in the IEP. But that's how you start getting empowering them. And when we talk about the self-determination, it's about choices. It's about, do you like shorts or pants, or do you like red? Do you prefer blue? It's all again about choices. We can start practicing this. I never believed that. I had a person that got me into the transition world, and it was about including kids. We think they don't have anything to say, but they certainly are. So just keep that in your mind. Maybe I'm preaching to the choir here. So I'm going to show the second, it's a training, I'll do this with you. And this is the transition IEP checklist. So this resource is the one that you saw before. It's technically a 12-page document and contains information about the transition and the transition IEP, as I mentioned before. So it's intended to provide you with an overview of before, during, and after the transition meeting. This could be a great tool for prepping you and the students for the upcoming IEP meetings. Within these 3 sections that I said before, during, and after, you will find tips, but very specific and detailed tips that will help parents and the students as well. So I don't have much of the time, to give you a super big training on this. But Tim, did you say 12:45?
That would be ideal, please.
Okay, that's great. So just wanted to show you, it talks about the post-secondary transition plan. I have mentioned many of these details before. It starts at age of 18, and each IEP has to have transition-related IEP goals. And these are the 3 areas in which you will have, or those transition IEP goals are developed, which is employment, post-secondary education, and independent living. Those are the ones that will be part of the PTP. So we're not showing you the app or the questions, we're showing you to understand the greater works of the transition IEPs. You can tell, and you're going to receive this PowerPoint, that we have transition assessment tools and also independent living skills checklist included. So these are the tools available. We have tips about how to prepare, and including inviting agencies that are transition related. I'm going to go quickly through this, but we also need some brainstorming for students before that meeting. How they can participate, figure that out, complete a sample of the PTP before the IEP meeting, because for the most part, these are live, obviously, and they're showing you, they're projecting for the most part, and they're answering these questions. We believe that if you know what the questions are in advance and your options, it will be much easier and better that you will be able to choose that in your son or child participating with you. It's many options. There are many times in which you can see drop downs with 12 options. How can you read that in an IEP? So again, there's some samples and there's an IEP app that people can use. There's one for the students and one for the parents, and they can use to sort of like complete their own PTP section before you go to the IEP meeting. So I suggest that. So I'm gonna focus on the students. So let's remember that once the students turn 18, their rights are transferred to them. So they will be asked if they want somebody else to be, participating in the IEP, but doesn't mean that you're not gonna be welcome or not invited, but this is something that, they will start like contacting your child and saying, okay, you're 18 now, and so you have to prepare for that so you can participate better. And some students may say like, no, I can handle this, but if you talk to your child before it happens, so at least that only needs is a yes, I want somebody to participate, and then you guys can get it together. So here are different ways in which students can participate. In person, they can lead the meetings. There's training for that and some practices and participation, but they can also record a video. If that's better, they can draw pictures or they can write a list of their goals. And we suggest that they're not afraid of asking questions. What I wanted to mention, this is important, but it's a little advanced and is into IEPs. During the time that the students are going through IEPs after the age of 14, every year there is a little bit that is adding, because remember, you are putting a plan together for exiting the child from school. So it's gonna be, it's called the summary of performance. This is important that is recorded, and this is what the school do, because once the child graduates from school, it's gonna be something that technically like what happened during those years, and that summary can help you with if the student is applying for post-secondary education or community resources. It's some sort of like the picture of what the abilities and what the child was able to, or the student was able to accomplish during those years. So that is, for the most part, I don't have much of a time, but I wanted you to understand about the PTP, at least the differences, and then we can help you to prepare for that. But it is putting high expectations on your children if if that is the case, or if you're self-advocating here. It's like we want you to get the most of IEPs and special education, and by participating and knowing what's in there and what the school is able to provide you in terms of supports and the collaboration that they also will have with community agencies, is when the students do best. No, I'm not gonna promise that there are gonna be no surprises, but there's a lot to learn, and it will be hours and hours before I could even, explain that to you. So I'm gonna close this down for the sec. I hope that you got a good overview of what we do, but it's about empowering, it's about one-on-one and asking questions. And if we don't know, we will check the information for you.
Well, Nilsenia, thank you. Please, people, feel free. Put any questions that you might have into the chat. Raise your hand using the raise your hand feature at the bottom of your screen. And I will identify who you are, and you can unmute and ask questions.
While you do that, because we're trying to participate in community resource fairs, and we're not able to be all over the state, but we have parent volunteers, or if you want to, if you are one of the organizers, even if you're a parent or professional, And if we're not able to be there, we will be more than glad to send some materials. And that goes for there are some specific transition resource fairs that happen in each county. So that's something that we can provide to you, some information.
Okay. Fantastic. And just give me one moment here before you all, nobody run away. Please stay right where you are, because of course, I need to give you the link to the short, and I promise it is short, feedback survey that we have for Transition Talks Tuesdays, so that we can try to convince people to continue to let us do this. So please feel free. The link is in the chat, and I will share those results if we get anything else in here with you. Any final questions from anybody before we sign off today? Not seeing any in the chat, not seeing any hand raises. Hopefully you learned something today. I know I did, but I really appreciate the partnership of FACETS in helping our parents and our students to move into adulthood, as they are a trusted partner. So Nelsinia, thank you so much for being here, and look forward to receiving the resources so that I can then spread them out.
Thank you so much. And give us a call, please. Don't be shy. Thank you for your time and for time being here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Give them a call. Reach out to them. They'll help you out. Take care.